JT Miller. You never go out there and fail to make things interesting. Today, we are diving into a post made on the New York Rangers beat, LowHUD.com, by Vincent Mercogliano. It's a JT Miller exclusive. The Rangers are building around a center who plays on a sharp sword. This article was published earlier this morning, and it has a whole bunch of juicy quotes from the man who once donned the New York Rangers sweater a decade ago, and who then found himself on a whole bunch of other teams, Tampa Bay and then Vancouver and back in New York once again. This is an exclusive interview that will be linked in the description, but you know what else is going to be linked in the description? The first link is our ExpressVPN affiliate page. The show is brought to you by Express. Go out there and click that first link to save some money on your VPN, get some free months, and support this YouTube channel in the process. This article will also be linked down there as well, so go out there and give LowHUD.com their ad views. Let's dive into just, firstly, the meaning of this article, secondly, the comments themselves, and thirdly, how some folks are responding to the comments. Because, of course, JT Miller is a pretty notable name in the hockey world, especially in the Vancouver bubble where I live. He has been one of the most prominent, talked-about figures in the past few months because of the drama with Elias Pettersson, because of some of the worst moments that we had seen out of JT Miller. I'll say this, the article is essentially a mouthpiece statement for Miller and the Rangers themselves as a team, how they're deciding to build around JT Miller. You can say whether or not that's a good thing or a bad thing. Hey, should a team be building around a guy who's 32 years old at this point in his career? But let's dive into the comments made by Miller before we respond to those ideas. The article addresses Miller and his intense, fiery, competitive anger at the very beginning of the article. How does Miller himself view it? I definitely come off as angry, Miller told LowHUD.com. People may not like that, but I don't really give a blank what they think. My whole career, I felt like I've had something to prove all the time. The second I lose that mindset, I feel like things are going to dip. And they have. The proof is in the pudding there. You never want to feel like you're at a satisfied mentality. I've been like that since I was a kid. I always want more. It's just a part of my DNA, really. So there you go, to all the folks talking about how Miller is angry, he's too competitive, he's this, he's that. He says he doesn't really give an expletive what you think. Which, come on, is that really surprising to anybody? It's JT Miller, for crying out loud. The guy has his angry, intense, fiery, passionate moments more often than anybody we have seen in a Vancouver Canucks sweater in the past 5 years. So of course he's going to go out there with that sort of a response to it all. I do find it interesting, though, how he does talk about how he is never wanting to be satisfied mentally. Because I feel like for Canucks fans, while it's true that Miller did have one of the best seasons we had ever seen out of a Vancouver Canuck last season in 23-24, he had 100 points, he was super reliable, he was getting a point on every power play goal it seemed like, and the puck was just going in constantly for him. I think for a lot of Canucks fans, it's easy to forget where lazy Miller comes into play. Because especially during the North Division shortened season, that's when Miller, I think, was probably at his worst, where he wasn't going out there and doing much, and he was just whining all the time, getting super angry. A lot of his swears would get caught on the hot mics, and then this season we started to see a little bit more of that lazy back-checking and the non-effort that he would display on some defensive rushes and penalty kills. It's interesting for him to note his mentality because we know that it's there. It's just the fact that it's so inconsistent at times, that's what really gets me intrigued by this entire conversation. Miller goes out there and says this, "I play on a sharp sword," the veteran center explained as to how he settles into his second stint with the Rangers. That's just how it is. And I feel like I spent a lot of my career explaining myself. I think people that know me as a teammate and a friend and a player, they understand my game and understand that it's just a part of who I am. Everybody's different, so I just try to regulate the emotions. I don't want it to go away because it brings out the best in me. But if things are starting to go the other way, I have to learn how to recognize that, and that's something I think I've gotten better at. You know, I'm trying to think of a snarky joke like, oh, we can ask Elias Pettersson how that's going, but Miller is very open about this kind of stuff here. He talks about Vancouver and how a lot of the season wasn't really fun, so I'm just enjoying myself right now. It's fun coming to the rink again. That was a little shot that he had taken, and, you know, we did make the video about that, so you can check out that prior commentary on this YouTube channel if you please. I try to pride my game on compete and tenacity, he said. When I'm not bringing those, I'm an average version of myself. I have enough skill that when I play that way, I can capitalize on chances and make plays. But it all stems from moving my feet and playing a physical brand of hockey. And that doesn't mean running around trying to kill people. That just means engaging physically. I play a straightforward game, I think. Yeah, I'd agree with that. When Miller is at his absolute best, he is just an everything machine. Hard forechecking, hard skating, good pace, great shot, good playmaking, decent to actually good puck skills, but every successful thing that Miller does on the ice is just enforced by that work ethic that he brings out every so often. When I'm on my game, Miller said, it's a brand of playoff hockey. I think it just fits my style. I didn't realize that when I was younger. I learned a lot when I was with the Rangers. I was in the playoffs a lot of years and struggled and didn't really understand how to play in the playoffs. But I think as time goes on and you evolve as a player, you figure that stuff out. I think my game is a good fit for the playoffs because of that recognition of playing that way. The article has a lot more stuff in it too. It talks about Mika Zibanejad and how apparently Mika and Miller are really similar, which is something that you would not have been able to guess if you had just looked at these two players objectively away from each other. They seem like such opposites. It's so weird to hear that they're the same. But I wanted to go over to the R Hockey subreddit and read some commentary about these Miller comments. Yeah, comments on the comments. The article, of course, is titled at the beginning about how the Rangers are building around Miller, who plays on a sharp sword. And one of the top comments says this: building around a 32-year-old power play merchant center who is actually better on the wing? That sure is a choice. And then this reply had a whole bunch of Rangers fans responding in a negative way. I wonder why. It's obviously coming from a Canucks fan, but what's the point goes out there and says this: none of the Rangers fans replying to you have experienced the sulky, stick-smashing, floating, swearing JT that will materialize in 6 to 8 months. JT, when he's right, is one of my favorite players ever. When he's John McEnroe on the ice, it's embarrassing. And for what it's worth, there was at least one Rangers fan like this one, Lafreniere Softball. You're getting hate for this take, but as a Rangers fan, I do agree that it's probably the wrong choice to build around a 32-year-old center winger like Miller. But still, you know, the Rangers are going to do what they're going to do. It's going to hopefully work out for them, I guess. There's another reply here that I wanted to read as well. Did you read the article or the headline? It's not like they're talking about going through a rebuild with Miller as a centerpiece. He adds an element that has been missing. The Rangers roster was built on skill and finesse, but it's increasingly lacked the personnel to play the direct, imposing style that team president Chris Drury and head coach Peter Laviolette want to move toward. And Miller, to his credit, I will say, does exemplify that exact mindset. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Firstly, about JT Miller biting back against some of the folks going out there and talking about how angry he is. He gives a pretty angry response towards those folks, and it seems like he will be given a lot of opportunity to do what he needs to do as a member of the New York Rangers. Same can't be said about the other Canucks guy that was sent over there, and Carson Soucy, but I guess there's only really room for one former Canuck right now at this point, right? So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about JT Miller, this interview he did with Lohud, and the emphasis that the Rangers' development is going to be placing on Miller to be that guy and to hopefully not become the sulky John McEnroe, lackadaisical, lazy back-checking, stick-smashing, swearing guy that we had seen him to be in Vancouver at one point or another. He had a 100-point season with the Canucks last year. He was so good, but we all recognize that that wasn't how he was playing this year. Sucks. Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Share, and bye.